Special Counsel Jack Smith confirms in a new filing with the federal court in the criminal case against Donald Trump that mostly all non-classified documents relevant to the case have been turned over to Donald Trump's lawyer. Basically, Jack Smith is saying we are ready to go to trial on that August 14th date set by Judge Eileen Cannon. And we don't want no excuses from Donald Trump. The ball is in your court, chump. I mean, Trump, that's what I envision Special Counsel.
Ooh, spicy.
Trash talking.
Spicy.
Donald Trump responded to this move by Jack Smith by making a very important legal filing, citing the... Okay, of course, that's not what he did. Donald Trump responded by begging MAGA Republicans on his social media platform and begging those MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives to obstruct justice. Trump used the term investigate them strongly or investigate them to give the MAGA Republicans the veil of immunity that they're trying to get and just go after Special Counsel Jack Smith and the Department of Justice and the FBI. And Trump called Jack Smith and the FBI and the DOJ scoundrels and said these scoundrels are planting evidence in the boxes against them. I mean, look, just a total freaking fascist lunatic. MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives held a hearing, speaking of fascist lunatics, held a hearing in the Judiciary Committee where they invited Special Counsel John Durham, who Bill Barr appointed, to attack Donald Trump's political enemies, but who ended up losing both of the cases he brought to trial when MAGA conspiracy met the reality of a United States courtroom where evidence matters. Yet again, conspiracy met reality at these congressional hearings this week when Democrats exposed Special Counsel John Durham. You'll see for yourself, John Durham essentially collapsed under cross-examination by Democrats. And even Matt Gaetz, MAGA Republican Matt Gaetz, were taking shots at John Durham. So it's fitting that on the same day, not Tom Fitton, it's fitting that on the same day that Congressman Adam Schiff made a fool of John Durham and proved yet again there was indeed Russian collusion and that the GOP report was a sham, the MAGA Republicans punished Adam Schiff for investigating Donald Trump by censuring him. Just a complete fascist clown show the Republicans are running in the House of Representatives and just defiling these very solemn chambers with just a bunch of nonsense. MAGA Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene called MAGA Republican Lauren Boebert a little bitch yesterday. Her words, not mine.
Ben.
Her words.
Thanks for the clarification.
And she admitted to saying it. And then yet again today, Marjorie Taylor Greene said it again and called Lauren Boebert that. I mean, what is even going on here? And although MAGA Republican George Santos said that he would rather go to jail than release the names of the suretors who posted the $500,000 bond for him when he was indicted and arraigned last month, George Santos lies. Surprise, surprise.
No.
George Santos did not voluntarily go into custody, and the names of the suretors were disclosed today. I won't leave you hanging. It was his daddy and his aunt who posted it. We'll talk a little bit.
I got some
more.
questions about that. We'll talk later.
I'll try to answer this question. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Podcast. I always talk about that intro as being like, what in the world is going on? I look forward to the day where there could be like normal political parties and we could say Democrats introduced a bill for more health care and Republicans supported it. They had an intelligible disagreement about how to execute the plan, but ultimately we're all going to get more health care at cheaper and affordable rates and prices. Only the Democrats are doing that each and every day. MAGA Republicans are giving us all this freaking nonsense. Brett, Jordy.
Well, Ben, I got to say, I'm shocked, absolutely gobsmacked. George Santos lied to us. It just seems so out of character. You ever like just pull out a word and you're like, this is a good word.
Where'd that come from? I love it.
I don't think I've ever said gobsmacked in my entire life. I'm gobsmacked by
Did
my
you
use
even
of
know where
word.
the word came from?
As I was saying it, I was like, is this even a word? I don't even know if this is even a word, but
Feels right. You said it with so much confidence. That's the big thing with words you don't know.
You gotta have some confidence when you go ahead. If the Republicans could go around lying about everything, even gigantic issues of national security, and just go around smearing people, then I'm allowed to maybe get a word incorrect. But no, it is the correct word. Watching these hearings like every single week, I have to wonder to myself, like, they know the Democrats are in there and they're going to be asking questions as well, right? Like, they haven't instituted a complete fascist takeover as of this point. There is an opposition party and they are going to step on some rakes once they meet the reality of these Democrats who are actually intelligent, who actually are, like, many of them, very skilled, seasoned prosecutors who know the right questions to ask, who know exactly what to say to expose these people. As I was watching these hearings yesterday, I was just like, I can't believe, like, you think the last hearing couldn't have went badly enough for the Republicans, and then you see them parade around John Durham, and not only does the hearing become a disaster, but it's like their entire narrative that they've been trying to push for weeks or months just completely goes under, and it's all a matter of their own doing. I cannot wait to get into these clips. It's truly left me gobsmacked, you guys. Anyway, gobsmacked. Jordy, how are you doing on this fine Thursday, Friday, if you're listening on audio? It's a good day.
I'm really excited. I'm doing really well. I'm pumped to get into tonight's show. And it's like Ben always says, when conspiracy meets reality, you get legality. And that's what we're seeing play out every day in these. It's a great.
Is that what you always say, Ben?
It's a famous Ben expression, and it's true, because what we continue to see day in and day out are these professional rake stepper moments playing out in these high courts, and which, generally speaking, it is just so sad and disappointing to see an entire party of this country that just does not care about the average American citizen, that only cares about lining their pockets with money and infighting.
They have one move. We talked about this
one
before.
Move.
We talk. I mean, it's lie. I mean, that's the one move. But their go-to is the fake whistleblower. You talked about it like in basketball, like they only go right. So you just, if there's a righty who can cross over, you guard them a certain way. It's like they just go back to fake whistleblower, and it's just getting boring now. Fake whistleblower, fake whistleblower, fake whistleblower. There's
another one today.
So now their new one right before the show is that David Weiss, the Republican prosecutor who entered into the plea deal with Hunter Biden, who Donald Trump appointed, a Republican prosecutor, Trump's prosecutor, Biden could have fired. Biden left Trump's prosecutor to go after his own son. And that's what the MAGA Republicans are faulting President Biden for. This is what this is the new conspiracy that they're just breaking right now. IRS whistleblower says that David Weiss, the Trump prosecutor who prosecuted Hunter Biden, was blocked from bringing Hunter Biden charges in DC and California. And in typical fashion, we saw right before this, ABC then posted a story. Other people buy into this whistleblower
They go
story.
Republican.
But by the way, can we look? I just want to read right now, and then we'll move on to the rest of the show. This was a letter from June 7th sent by David Weiss, the Trump prosecutor, to Jim Jordan. And he said, I want to make clear that as the Attorney General has stated, I have been granted ultimate authority over this matter, including responsibility for deciding where, when, and whether to file charges, and for making decisions necessary to preserve the integrity of the prosecution, consistent with federal law, the principles of federal prosecution, and departmental regulations. But that's the MAGA go-to thing, right? We're going to see that Matt Gaetz did this with John Durham. So now what the MAGA Republicans are saying about Durham is that Durham was part of the deep state. Durham was part of the cover-up. Durham was working with Hillary Clinton. That's their new one. It's absurd.
Got it. So you got this deep state cabal of these secret liberals like Bill Barr. And John Durham and anyone who else who doesn't
David
follow
Weiss, the Trump prosecutor.
David Weiss, the Trump.
David Weiss.
They're all in it together. And anybody who doesn't completely toe the MAGA line and allows reality to actually seep through once in a while. Deep state, and they got the whistle. What's going to happen to the whistle? Yeah, let's hear it.
The only person who has the answer, to all of the secrets, is the person who his entire life has never told a lie. Ooh. Donald Trump. I mean, literally, you have, like, for you to believe this at this point, I mean, the person who has lied about every single aspect of his life, who lies every day. You know, they have that stat, like the Washington Post said that Donald Trump lied 5,385 times. No, he's lied every second. You know what? You know when he does the huffing, when he goes, he sniffs, when he sniffs, and not huffs, when he sniffs, his sniffs lie. His sniffs aren't even truthful sniffs. His sniffs are lying sniffs.
Well, so Ben, I just want to say to the whistleblowers, you know, miraculously before their testimony, something's bound to happen to them as per usual. I don't know if they're going to get lost. I don't know if one of them's going to die again, like the last whistleblower. I don't know if, like, the letters that they're going to have one copy of the proof, they're going to send it to Fox, and miraculously 30 seconds before air, they're going to find out it went missing. Something's going to happen. So I just want to send my condolences to whatever happens to this made up situation.
If Donald Trump followed the advice of competent counsel, he could have entered a plea agreement like the one that Hunter Biden entered into. By the way, whether Hunter Biden entered into a plea deal or was prosecuted, if the evidence showed that he committed crimes, so be it. He wasn't running our government. The Saudis didn't give him $2 billion. He wasn't making decisions over pardons. He wasn't the ambassador of everything. Last time I checked, he had no relationship to our government at all. But if you've got evidence, go for it. I don't freaking care. But at the end of the day, we live in an evidence-based system. And if Donald Trump truly followed the advice of his lawyer, because you remember Chris Keiss, his lawyer, in the fall of 2022, we've learned from a lot of reporting, told Donald Trump that he should enter into a deal with the Department of Justice. And Donald Trump rejected that. Instead, Donald Trump listened to the guy with the tight-fitting shirts, who's not a lawyer, Tom Fitton. And Donald Trump said, boxes, mine. My boxes. They are my boxes. Clinton's socks case says my boxes. There's nothing to do with anything. Fitton lost the Clinton socks case. There was no jurisdiction and involved personal notes for a personal autobiography. District court cases are not precedent. If anything, they're persuasive authority, and persuasive authority against you, because it doesn't stand for the proposition that you can steal classified records, you freaking moron. So if you wanted to enter into a plea deal in the fall of 2022 and follow the advice of your counsel, you probably could have done that. But instead, before moving on, we got to show just some of this stuff from part 2 of the Bret Baier interview. Good call. I got to show that before, because this is the caliber, like, we're dealing with the freaking idiot also. There's fascism and he is an idiot. And I want to give Bret Baier, a lot of credit for holding Donald Trump accountable, but these weren't necessarily like the most brilliant cross-exam aspects that were needed. Like, here, Donald Trump is like touting clemency for a first-time nonviolent drug offender named Alice Johnson. I think he granted clemency to her in 2018. She was part of cocaine ring in the Memphis area in the 1990s. And under Donald Trump's plan for drug dealers, he would have put her to death immediately in a quick trial. He goes, I'll give the drug dealers quick trials and I'll kill them. That's what he says in his speeches. So Bret Baier says, yeah, but you would have killed her. Watch what happens.
As an example, a woman who you know very well was in jail. She had 24 more years to serve. She served for 22 years. She had
Alice Johnson.
Alice.
She was in the Super Bowl.
High quality. Oh, yeah. I said, how many years? And she was on a telephone call, and they were involved in selling marijuana, mostly marijuana. And she got like 50 years in jail.
But she'd be killed under your plan.
Huh?
as a drug dealer.
No. Under that, it would depend on the severity. It would depend on the severity.
She's technically a former drug dealer. She had multi-million-dollar cocaine ring.
Any drug dealer, look.
So even Alice Johnson in that ad.
She can't do it, okay? By the way, if that was there, no, she wouldn't be killed. It would start as of now, so you wouldn't go to the past.
It would start as of
starting now. Now watch me karate chop. That's the crazy.
I mean, look, it would be borderline entertaining if that was the movie Idiocracy, and we'd probably be like, "No, you're going over the top with that character. Like, that's too crazy." But this is somebody who the modern day Republican Party's like, let's let him do it again. Let's give that guy the codes. And by
Ben,
the way, this is what Bret.
It's because, Ben, you're right. I mean, it's because when they go right, they don't just go right, Ben. They go far right. And that's where you end up with Trump on Fox going, for like 3 whole seconds. What was that?
And his face like contorted too.
Unbelievable.
One of the most wild things too is Trump has to, because the party has gotten even more radical because of Trump, but it's gone even further to the right than it even was during Trump. And now, so even some of the good things that Trump may have done during his presidency, the very few bright spots like COVID vaccines or like criminal justice reform, like things that you could actually tout as.
By the way, I think he screwed up both of them, but granted, he could tout it. But yeah.
I'm saying this is something that in a normal world, this is something a candidate would be touting. But in this world, he needs to run away from even the semblance of normalcy. He needs to run away from even the appearance of any competency. So he's got to now equivocate between, okay, COVID vaccines, good or bad? I don't know. Clemency to drug dealers. Should we have killed her? No, she was good. But starting now, if it was now, I would have killed her later on. Like the equivocation is absolutely crazy. And Bret Baier throughout the whole thing also like has to correct him on a lot of very basic facts as well that we'll see throughout these clips. But it's mind blowing this guy was anywhere even near power.
So here's a very basic question by Bret Baier. In your mind, Donald Trump, did the COVID vaccine work? Okay, the answer is yes. But watch Donald Trump try to respond to this question.
In your mind, did the COVID vaccine work?
It's such an interesting question because not only that, I also did the Regenerons of the world, we did a tremendous job on that. But we had a vaccine. Now you have different COVIDs. You had COVID-19 and then you have different COVIDs, but we had original was COVID-19, which was the roughest one. So I have a Democrat friend who's very smart. Hopefully he votes for me, but he's very smart. He said, I don't understand one thing about you. I watch your rallies. They're incredible. You talk about beating ISIS. You talk about taxes. You talk about regulation. You talk about everything. But you never said that. I've never heard you talk about how the incredible job you did with the vaccines, because as you know, I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years. I broke their ass, okay? And you know who doesn't like me too much? The FDA. Because they were very bureaucratic, and I got it done. And he said, you may have saved throughout the world, 100 million people, and you never talk about it. I said, I really don't want to talk about it because as a Republican, it's not a great thing to talk about because for some reason, it's just not.
For some reason?
Yeah, for some reason, because people love the vaccines and people hate the vaccines, but conservatives aren't. And I understand both sides of it, by the way. I understand both sides very well. What I didn't do is the mandates. The mandates and the vaccines don't go. And you had these governors mandating.
With
and
the
by
Defense
the way,
Department.
Ron DeSantis.
The Pentagon did.
Ron DeSantis had lines of people trying to get the vaccine. He set up whole things.
That's the criticism of DeSantis, is that he set up lines of people to get the vaccine. He said that he broke their ass. I mean, imagine like working to try to come up with this vaccine, and you come up with it, and Donald Trump has absolutely nothing to do with it. And Donald Trump goes, "Yeah, I broke their ass."
Also, right out the gate in that clip as well, he makes a comment that shows like he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He was like, and that was COVID-19, the worst COVID-19. And Bret Baier is like, he's like, you mean it was a different strain of COVID. It's all COVID-19. It's not a different virus. Like, it's the same virus. And throughout the whole time, what he was saying, he was trying to like bypass the FDA approval process. And he goes, for some reason, it's not good, but I should be rewarded because it was important and it could have saved lives. And then he makes up a story about like he always goes like, a Democrat told me that you did such a great job, sir, such a great job. You should be promoting this. The whole thing from start to finish is just word vomit. Guys, I'm
And then there's that. And then
Whoa,
he makes
Can I just say this, Ben, real quick? Just say yes. Like, give a one-word answer. What was that he then went on to spew other than just absolute ridiculousness? This is why my theory with this whole interview with Fox is they knew exactly what they were doing. They were going to let this lunatic continue to talk it out because they want to try and start to distance themselves from him a little bit as they head into these election seasons. So we'll see. But
Trump brought these things up himself.
That's what I'm saying. Like Bret
Baier
Baier in that interview, actually, to Ben's point earlier, he's not even asking really hard questions at this point. He's just letting Donald speak. And when he speaks, he further incriminates himself and also just makes himself look like a complete buffoon.
And here's the reason why you can't give Bret Baier all that much credit for a lot of reasons. But Trump makes these videos of himself. So he literally is asking himself the question. Like, this is a video that he just posted. It just came out. He made it of himself. He woke up. He goes, I'm going to make this video talking about my GOP opponents. I'm making this one. I'm going to post it. And I think that this is a good look. And so this is Trump's bizarre new video warning to his GOP opponents. So this is why you don't need Bret Baier, because I could virtually do the interview with him without even saying the clip. Hey, Donald, what do you think about your GOP opponents?
Many say don't punch down when talking about people like Chris Sununu or Sloppy Chris Christie or Ada Hutchinson. I call him Ada, not Asa, because of certain reasons. Or others. But sometimes it's necessary to talk badly about those that for no reason other than politics speak badly about you. Otherwise, the people that love you don't know whether or not they're for real. Are they saying the truth? They're not. So sometimes you have to punch down and you have to say what's happening. Otherwise, they won't understand. It's not fair to them. You have to put them in proper perspective, these bad people. You have to put them in their place. People like this are very destructive. And you have to tell the voters what it's all about. Otherwise, why should they be able to understand it? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And what is okay? So we got what is the Asa Hutchinson like? What is he getting at there? I have one theory. But do you have any theory on like what the heck he's even getting at?
Jordy, what do you think?
No, I'm not even going there. I don't know. I don't want to say it. I don't know.
Here's my theory.
Let's hear it.
My theory.
I actually have a theory, but
let's see it. Let's see if they align. My theory is that in other videos that I've seen him use it, he always follows it up with some sort of, knocking him down and saying the guy's totally weak. He's weak. He's weak. He's weak. And I think in the Trump world, I think the Ada is like trying to say that like weakness is a disability. And I think ADA is like the disability. America with Disabilities Act. I think that's his Trumpian logic from watching these clips. Do you agree with that ridiculous? I mean, I'm not saying I agree with that.
The thing with Jack Smith, where he goes, if Jack Smith is really his name, the implication in his mind is that Jack Smith is another name for Jack Smith. Jack Smith really has a Jewish last name, and that his name isn't really the generic Jack Smith. And that's the implication. It's always something kind of xenophobic or ableist or racist. Like, so it's always coming from that perspective, but that's where
he's not a complex man, not a complex guy.
He's not. He's a complete and utter moron. And we also learned what a complete and utter moron John Durham was at these hearings, where Jim Jordan, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, and the MAGA Republicans, in their infinite wisdom, decided to parade John Durham before the Judiciary Committee. Let's just say it did not go well for Republicans, and perhaps Republicans didn't realize or keep forgetting at each of these hearings, the Democrats get to ask questions as well. But that's why I like these hearings a lot, because it actually is a forum to really expose what's going on.
Yes.
It's not soundbite based. So yes, the MAGA Republicans will call their conspiracy theorist witnesses. They'll call people like John Durham, who are intended to achieve, authoritarian style ends and undermine democracy. But the Democrats have a deep bench of like former top lawyers, former top prosecutors. I mean, let's not forget Adam Schiff was an assistant United States attorney, a star prosecutor before he went into Congress. And a lot of these Democrats have legal backgrounds. I mean, you talk about even like an Eric Swalwell, for example, was a former state prosecutor, very well respected. And so they bring that cross-examination style. And look, they only get about 5 minutes of questioning as well. So the fact that they're able to do this legal jujitsu in short periods of time, from my own legal perspective, is just extra impressive. So let's show you what went down at this hearing this week. John Durham is there to testify about his investigation into the origins of the links between Trump and Russia, because they try to claim that the MAGA Republicans tried to claim that that's a hoax, as though we didn't all see Donald Trump during the campaign say, Russia, if you are listening, please hack into my political opponents' email addresses. And then Russia did it. Like, could you imagine if there was an email or a text message that said that? The fact that Donald Trump did it in front of us all doesn't make it less evidence, people, okay? That makes it equal evidence, if not more evidence, that it happened in front of our face. Are we supposed to forget that his campaign manager was convicted like twice, not once, twice in federal juries relating to his connections?
Ben, I think
Russia?
Mueller indicted 34 individuals. 34 individuals and 3 companies in this investigation. And they want to pretend like it was nothing. And by the way, that's why anytime that Donald Trump now goes to trash Bill Barr, I mean, the guy should be kissing Bill Barr's feet every single day for what Bill Barr did. Bill Barr preempted, he pre-butted the Mueller report to try to hide the football, to try to hide the fact that there was indeed Russia collusion. Mueller never said there wasn't Russia collusion. He said that there was enough obstruction that he wasn't able to fully prove what he needed to take a lot of those charges to trial, but he still was able to indict 34 individuals and 3 companies, a lot of these being people's ties to Russia in the Trump campaign, direct ties, like sharing privileged information with Russian government officials and them using it to then help Donald Trump. It's a direct link. It's not even debatable. But the Republican Party, from day one of taking the House, their entire MO is not how do we help with inflation? How do we help with this issue or that issue? The entire Republican MO right now is how do we settle the score for our cult leader, Donald Trump? How do we take all the things that were exposed about Donald Trump over the past few years and try to flip them on their heads, try to gaslight the American public, try to make them think these things never happened? January 6th, what are you talking about, insurrection? That wasn't an insurrection. These Democratic liars lying about January 6th. The lies are so big and so obvious, and that's the function of these entire hearings.
Did you see when Lauren Boebert made a post when the Democratic members of Congress surrounded Congress member Adam Schiff after he was censured to show him support? Lauren Boebert said, so is this an insurrection? Is this the insurrection? I mean, the level of, there it is for all of our YouTube watchers, for our audio watchers. You can check it out on YouTube. I mean, just like making insurrection jokes, and then they actually sing songs with insurrectionists. I want to show you what went down at this hearing. We'll go through some of the clips, but before we do that, I want to take a quick break, and we will be right back after this message.
Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at that perfect temperature all night long. Now, using silver-infused fabrics originally inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at that perfect temperature all night so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than the bed sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Meidas at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas and use the code Meidas to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Meidas to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this.
We are back live here on the MeidasTouch Podcast. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Bret and Jordy Meiselas. And when you mention Bill Barr, you shouldn't forget that he was actually the Attorney General for George H.W. Bush. Not George H.W. Bush. So Bill Barr had the institutional knowledge about how the Department of Justice works and was specifically selected in order to figure out how to use the machinery there to undermine the Mueller report, which is what he did. And for Donald Trump to now call him a rhino and to call him a gutless pig, which he is a gutless pig, and he did engage in criminal conduct, but not for the reasons that Donald Trump states, because he would not go far enough in undermining our democracy, even though I think he went sufficiently and absurdly way too far. But let's talk about what happened at this John Durham hearing. Let's go through some of the questioning by these Democratic superstars. First clip I want to show you is from Democratic Congress member from California, Ted Lieu. Play this clip.
Now, Mr. Durham, I'd like to ask you the following simple yes or no questions. Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was convicted, correct?
I'm sorry, could you just repeat that?
Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was convicted, correct?
That's correct.
Trump's former foreign policy advisor to the campaign, George Papadopoulos, was convicted, correct?
That's correct.
Trump's former deputy campaign manager, Rick Gates, was convicted, correct?
Not in connection with the Russian matter.
All right. Mr. Durham, you can hold yourself out as an objective Department of Justice official or as a partisan hack, and the more that you try to spin the facts and not answer my questions, you sound like the latter. So I'm just going to ask this simply. Trump's former National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn, was convicted, correct?
That's correct.
Trump's longtime advisor, Roger Stone, was convicted, correct?
I'm sorry, missed the last thing you
Trump's
mentioned.
longtime advisor, Roger Stone, was convicted, correct?
Correct.
In contrast to multiple Trump associates who were convicted, you brought 2 cases to jury trial based on this investigation, and you lost both. And so I don't actually know what we're doing here, because the author of the Durham report concedes that the FBI had enough information to investigate. And thank goodness the FBI did, because multiple Trump associates who committed crimes were held accountable. And the best way to summarize what happened is thank you to the brave men and women of the FBI for doing their jobs.
Next is Democratic Congress member Jerry Nadler with his questioning. Play the clip.
Did it take 4 years to complete?
Correct.
Okay. And with all these resources and all these people you were sent to help you investigate the investigators, you only filed 3 criminal cases. You only brought 2 cases to trial, correct?
Correct.
And you lost all the cases you brought to trial, correct?
Correct.
In fact, 2 juries acquitted your defendants on all charges. And the one conviction that you obtained, the defendant pleaded guilty to a single count that never went to trial, correct?
Correct.
I will note that in that case, the primary investigative steps were all completed by Inspector General Horowitz. Perhaps you were better when it came to your report. From my reading, your report did not make any specific concrete recommendations to improve DOJ or FBI policies or procedures. In fact, your report repeatedly references the recommendations made by Inspector General Horowitz, almost all of which DOJ and FBI have already implemented. Again, your investigation lasted 4 years. 4 years and untold sums of money, and you still obtained only one conviction. You did produce a 300-page report, though, and that's given my Republican counterparts plenty of material to spin.
Next up, Democratic Congressmember Hank Johnson. Play the clip.
And the other two men you prosecuted went to trial on the charges, charging they were accused of lying to the FBI, and both were slam dunk acquitted. Isn't that correct?
They were acquitted.
And none of the individuals you prosecuted were ever charged with being part of a hoax or a fraud or a witch hunt or a politically motivated deep state conspiracy against Donald Trump. Isn't that correct?
I would not say that that's accurate.
You mean you did charge somebody with being a part of a hoax?
We charged Mr. Sussman with having knowingly provided false information to the FBI regarding Alpha Bank.
But he was acquitted, though, right? After
well, that wasn't your question.
Mr. Sussman was acquitted after you charged him, correct?
Grand jury found
he was found innocent by a unanimous jury of 12.
That's not true.
Well,
what's true is the grand jury found probable cause to indict Mr. Sussman.
A jury of his peers acquitted him, though, correct?
And a trial jury.
You're not going to disagree on that, are you, Mr. Durham?
I'm going to try to answer your question as it was asked.
You can see what a hack he is. I mean, he lost the case.
He got laughed out of court during the case. And he can't admit these very simple facts, which is why Ted Lieu's comments from before were so spot on. You could either continue to evade the questions and answer, we're going to think you're just a complete partisan hack if you do that. Pick what you want to do. Are you going to answer our questions, or are you going to continue down this road? I go with partisan hack. Complete partisan hack shows you how just ridiculous, how unsourced, how weak his arguments were in this Durham report, and why it's a much different thing when he just puts something in paper. After all these things have already been proven, he goes to try to refute it for the Republicans to give them some fodder without an actual rebuttal. And now he's in front of people who actually know the facts. And the first second he is hit with any facts about these cases whatsoever, the guy just folds. He can't answer a single thing.
And for people out there who tend to say, Democrats don't have good messaging, I refute that. And I show these clips, and we show these clips as an example of this being good messaging right here from the Democrats. What you're seeing is how Democrats need to be messaged, and then how you need to take these clips and also show them to people and let them know, hey, at the end of the day, all you have to hang your hat on is the truth. And as long as you have the truth on your side and the accurate information, you're going to win that debate 10 out of 10 times.
And that's the thing, because I don't really care. I mean, the reality is I support Democrats right now because they're the only pro-democracy party. I support President Biden because I think he's doing a good job. But frankly, if the roles were reversed here, and that was Special Counsel Jack Smith answering the questions the way Durham was, I'd be like, who the hell is this guy's the worst? I'd be like, what's going on? I wouldn't care who appointed him. I wouldn't care where he comes from. I would just objectively look at the facts before me and go, whoa, you lost the trial. You're going to argue that because the grand jury voted to indict, you're going to try to ignore that it then went to trial and you lost? The bottom line is you lost once. You lost twice. You lost over and over again. And if you actually look at the findings of your report, you make actually no substantive recommendation of any change of any policy in the FBI whatsoever. But we haven't even gotten to Congressmember Eric Swalwell and Congressmember Adam Schiff, the former prosecutors. Let's take a look at Congressmember Eric Swalwell comparing the work of Durham to Mueller. Play this clip.
I also want to compare you to the last major special counsel investigation that we had. You agree Special Counsel Mueller charged dozens of individuals and you indicted 3. Is that correct?
Indicted 2 and a third pleaded guilty.
Right. And Special Counsel Mueller had dozens of convictions some at trial, but no defendant was outright acquitted. Is that right in the Mueller investigation? Outright acquitted. Across the board, every charge acquitted.
Right. I don't believe there are any acquittals. I'm not sure there were dozens of convictions. There were dozens of, more than a dozen people who were indicted.
I mean, by the way, has he even read the Mueller report? I think the answer we learned is that he's never actually read the Mueller report. The very document that he was essentially charged with undermining, he never even read that document to even use that evidence as a control group to test against his conspiratorial variables, if you will. He didn't even do that work, which you would think would be the bare minimum if your mandate is to try to undermine the work being done there. So when it became clear to the Democratic members of Congress that he hadn't even read the Mueller report, then it was just full on bloodbath at this hearing. This is Democratic Congress member Adam Schiff, who basically exposes that John Durham never read the Mueller report. Play this clip.
Let's go to invited Russian help. Mr. Durham, you're aware of Donald Trump's public statements along the lines of, hey, Russia, if you're listening, hack Hillary's emails, you'll be richly rewarded by the press. You aware of that?
I'm aware of that.
And are you aware that Mueller found that hours after he made that plea for Russian help, the Russians, in fact, tried to hack one of the email servers affiliated with the Clinton campaigner family?
If that happened, I'm not aware of that. I mean, it could very well.
You're not aware of that in the Mueller report? So when you say you're not aware of evidence of collusion in the Mueller report, it's because you apparently haven't read the Mueller report very well. If you're not aware of that fact.
And by the way, that is exactly why they hate Adam Schiff. They hate Adam Schiff because he is really effective and he is really good at what he does. He is a really skilled prosecutor who knows the questions to ask, and he completely exposed John Durham here. And everything that Schiff has said throughout the years has been accurate. Everything has been evidence-based. They hate him because he exposed Donald Trump.
And he exposed Donald Trump right here. Talk about basically kind of co-opting the other side's witness right here. Because at this point, Durham, who clearly didn't do his homework at all, was clearly exposed as being a hack. Durham just getting so flustered that Adam Schiff just basically goes in and basically gets Durham to admit that the very premise of his appointment was BS. So Congressmember Adam Schiff gets John Durham to admit that Russia helped Donald Trump, which is basically the supposed finding that Durham was supposed to reach, was that the whole thing was a hoax to begin with. But here Durham just admits that his whole premise, his whole reason for being was false. Watch how Schiff does it. Play this clip.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you read what's in the cable and what's in the report, is that what the diplomats reported was there was a suggestion that the Russians could help. They had damaging information as to Mrs. Clinton. And
by releasing it anonymously, right? And that's exactly what happened, isn't it?
I don't.
You really don't know?
I'm not sure exactly. When you say exactly what happened.
Well, the Russians released stolen emails through cutouts, did they not?
There were emails.
It's a very simple question. Did they release information, stolen information through cutouts, yes or no?
Yeah, I'm not sure that.
You really don't know the answer to that? The answer is yes, they did. Through DC League exclusive.
Well, in your mind, it's yes.
Well, Mueller's answer was yes. More important than mine, Mueller's answer was yes. Now, that information, of course, was helpful to the Trump campaign, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question, but that the Russians intruded into, hacked into the systems. They released information,
and that was helpful to the Trump campaign, right?
And the conclusion in the ICA and in the Mueller investigation was that the Russians intended to assist.
Can you answer my question, Mr. Durham? That was helpful to the Trump campaign, right?
Yeah, that's.
And Trump made use of that. As I said, didn't he, by touting those stolen documents on the campaign trail over 100 times?
I said, I don't really read the newspapers or listen to the news. I don't
really,
find that reliable, so I don't know that.
Mr. Durham, were you totally oblivious to Donald Trump's use of the stolen emails on the campaign trail more than 100 times? Did that escape your attention?
I am not aware of that.
You're the investigator. You were tasked for years with investigating this. You think you want to do a little bit of research? You think you want to maybe read up on the issue at hand a little bit? That, by Schiff, that is what we call game, set, match. Completely eviscerated him.
Even so much so that Matt Gaetz, the MAGA Republican, you would think that his questioning would be supportive of John Durham. But he went after John Durham and was basically like, you blew it. You had one job, okay? We appointed you. We tried to weaponize you. We wanted you to take down Trump's enemies, and you failed at that, and you are a complete loser. Just watch this. This is what Matt Gaetz said. Matt Gaetz said during his questioning. Play this clip.
I think that's beyond the scope of what's in the report.
It's literally the scope of what your charging order is. Who put it in motion? We get after it was put in motion, the FBI did a bunch of wrong and corrupt things. Totally understand. We're trying to deal with that. But when you are part of the cover-up, Mr. Durham, then it makes our job harder.
Yeah, well, if that's your thought, I mean, there's no way of dissuading you from that. I can tell you that it's offensive and that the people who worked on this investigation have spent their lives trying to protect the people in this country and pursue within the law what it is that we are authorized to do.
You tried 2 cases, lost both of them, and then the one guilty plea you got, Kleinsmith is back to practicing law in Washington, D.C. today.
Yeah, that's beyond my control.
Right, but the fact that you allowed that plea to occur, right? And then the punishment was insufficient. The fact that you didn't charge Andrew McCabe, you didn't convict the lying Democrats or the lying Russians, you didn't investigate Mifsud or the Mueller probe, even though, as we sit here today in black letter, that was your charge. Have you ever heard of the Washington Generals?
The Washington Generals, yes.
Yeah, and they're the team that basically gets paid to show up and lose, right?
Well, I'm sure that the players who exert blood, sweat, and tears don't view it that way, but you might.
I think they do. Because the job of the Washington Generals is to show up every night and to play the Harlem Globetrotters. And their job is to lose.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of a different thing.
Yeah, so their job is to lose. And I'm kind of wondering, and it just seems so facially obvious that it's not what's in your report that's telling, it's the omission. It's the lack of work you did. And for the people like the chairman who put trust in you, I think you let them down. I think you let the country down. And you are one of the barriers to the true accountability that we need.
Mark Elias posted the following. I think he's quoting from a website called The Empty Wheel. Quote, "But I can think of no more fitting way to end Durham's 4-year effort to chase conspiracy theories than to have Matt Gaetz accuse him of being part of the deep state." And I think that is such a so well put there in that quote. But that is now what they are saying, that Durham, we've been hearing about Durham this, Durham that. Now apparently, according to MAGA Republicans, the whistleblowers disappear. The recordings don't exist. Bill Barr is a rhino gutless pig. John Durham is part of the big deep state cover-up. John Durham is working with the Democrats right
but
now.
Ben, as you said before,
but that's MAGA logic. That's
the
MAGA,
one expert,
illogical.
The MAGA illogic. The one arbiter of truth, though, Donald Trump, the one expert who knows everything. Donald Trump, the guy who
he basically eats his poop every day, and he is the one who's got all of the. He's literally doing interviews, freaking smearing feces on his face at this point. Yeah. And the MAGA Republicans are like, that smear. Okay, I won't even get that gross, but doing that while showing people nuclear codes, and the MAGA Republicans are like, we need to protect him. We need to.
Let's completely debase and humiliate ourselves for this guy. And then one other statement before we move on from this that I just want to remind all of our listeners and our viewers of is the Don Jr. emails. Like, there were a lot of emails that came out between John Jr. and Russian officials. Here's a little excerpt from one of them. This is from one of the people. "This is obviously very high level and sensitive information, but is part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. And then Don Jr. responds, and this is in June 2016. Don Jr. responds, seems we have some time. And if it's what you say, I love it, especially later in the summer. Could we do a call first thing next week when I am back? And guess what happened after that? They actually held a meeting in Trump Tower to try to get the Russian dirt on Hillary Clinton. It's all documented. This all actually happened. And what was the Trump campaign upset about? They were upset that the dirt wasn't good enough. They didn't go to rush to the FBI and say, hey, the Russians contacted us. That should be the first thing you do. The first thing you do should be, hey, FBI, Department of Justice, we're running our campaign. The Russians just hit us up. They said they have information on Hillary Clinton that they want to interfere in our elections. Okay, FBI, you take care of this. We want no involvement. The guy had a meeting with him in Trump Tower and then got upset that the dirt wasn't good enough for the campaign. These are all documented facts. And that's why Durham, when he got up on the stand or whatever you want to call it, when he got in front of the House Judiciary Committee and actually had to defend himself, was unable to.
And I'm sorry to the YouTube chat because I'm seeing all these poop emojis popping up right now in the YouTube chat after I gave that.
Those are not the MeidasTouch endorsed emoticons.
Less than picturesque imagery. But I will say this about the emojis. If everybody is wondering how people are getting the Jack Smith emojis, the Legal AF emojis, the MeidasTouch badges, you can get that by becoming a member of our YouTube page. There's a $sign on the bottom right of the YouTube chat. You can buy yourself a membership at the various tiers. If you're already a member, you can gift other people in the chat memberships. If you want to receive a gifted membership, you can click that $sign, and I believe there's a feature that would say make you eligible to receive a gift. I love to see the chat buying each other memberships and gifts.
Chat is flooded right now with Jack Smith emojis
here at the MeidasTouch.
You know what I'm excited for too, Ben? I'm really excited. So we're doing a Patreon exclusive podcast in the next few days that I'm really excited for. And we're doing a Q&A. So we're taking questions from the folks who join us on patreon.com/MeidasTouch. A lot of great perks. One of the perks, you get some exclusive podcasts, you get early access to videos, you could be a producer. And we're doing a Q&A, a Patreon exclusive podcast. We've received so many incredible questions on Patreon at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. And we'll record a whole episode for the patrons over there. It's going to be fun.
The YouTube membership's different than the Patreon. They have different features. So just take a look and make sure you read what the features are. But because we don't have outside investors, that's how we pay for the editing here and the videos and the research and all of the things that you see and know and love about the MeidasTouch Network. Also, so Jordy doesn't get mad at me, go to store.MeidasTouch.com to get the Convict 45 or Convict 5 pins as well. Oh, we have a lot of show left. Don't you worry, because
don't go anywhere.
On the same day that Congressmember Adam Schiff made a fool of John Durham, as you just saw, and proved that there was indeed Russian collusion and that the GOP-led report was a sham, what did the MAGA Republicans do? They took a formal vote to censure Adam Schiff for investigating Donald Trump. I want to show you what went shame. I want to show you what went down on the House floor there, give you more updates regarding Special Counsel Jack Smith. Marjorie Taylor Greene called Lauren Boebert a little bitch and then admitted to it. So much to discuss here on the MeidasTouch podcast. But first, let's take a quick break.
Don't you dare go anywhere.
Oh, hey, when did you get here? Let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Henson Shaving. Look, everyone knows how annoying cheap razors are. The cuts, the irritation, the frustration. And don't get me started with subscription razor services, the headaches that those can cause. That's why you gotta meet Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has made parts for the ISS. That's the International Space Station and Mars rover, and now they're bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience. Razor blades, they're like diving boards. The longer the board, the more wobble, the more nicks, cuts, and scrapes. A bad shave, it isn't a blade problem. It's an extension problem. By using aerospace-grade CNC machines, Henson makes metal razors that extend just 0.0013 inches, which is less than the thickness of human hair. That means a secure and stable blade with a vibration-free shave. It gets better. The razor has built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. Seriously, Henson Shaving wants the best razor, not the best razor business. That means no plastic, no subscriptions, no proprietary blades, and no obsolescence. The Henson razor, it works with standard dual-edge blades to give you that old-school shave with the benefit of new-school tech. Once you own the Henson razor, it's only about $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades. My first shave with the Henson razor was incredibly refreshing. The design is sleek and the durability is top notch. The Henson razor is truly much better than your run-of-the-mill quote-unquote traditional razor brand. And the affordability factor is absolutely game-changing. No more wasting your money on expensive blades. With Henson Shaving, you get a year of blades for just $5. Okay, so here's what you have to do. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/Meidas to pick the razor for you and use code Meidas and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just make sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/Meidas and use code Meidas.
Welcome back to the MeidasTouch Podcast. We are live. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by my brothers Bret and Jordy Meiselas. I saw some people during the break asking a question about the term cutout, like what is a cutout in kind of espionage language. A cutout is a mechanism or person used to create a compartment between the members of an operation to allow them to pass material or messages securely. An intermediary, basically an agent
like
who
funneling
functions.
It through another source, so it doesn't come directly from the folks. I love this comment we got too. Groove Dragon said, Ben is Mad Dog, Bret is Bad Dog, and Jordy is the Ad Dog. Shout out to the Ad Dog. Very impressive.
Let's go.
And you can support all the sponsors of the podcast with the links in the description. And thank you.
It's great sponsors. They're great products, great
democracy,
sponsors.
baby.
We stand behind those products. And again, you know, we have to be, without going the investor route, we have to be creative here on the MeidasTouch Network, right, about how we build this pro-democracy network. And so we appreciate any sponsors who support this show and the type of content that we do. Anyway, speaking of which, House Republicans shamefully voted 213 to 209 down party lines. 6 Republicans just voted present to censure Representative Adam Schiff after they failed at doing that last week. I guess those 6 people voted more along the lines with the Democrats last week, and then they were kind of threatened into voting present. This time, kind of the tricks that had to be played in order to get Kevin McCarthy to become Speaker of the House eventually. It looked a lot kind of like that. And they also then referred Adam Schiff for an ethics investigation because Congressmember Adam Schiff exposed Donald Trump and also was one of the main investigators into the January 6th insurrection. Like, I get the question a lot. I see it in the comments on these videos.
Too.
Like, what are they censuring him for? Actually, nothing. They're censuring him for the fact that he brought to light a lot of and pursued the truth to expose Donald Trump's connections with Russia, to expose Donald Trump's criminal dealings, and to expose Donald Trump's conduct, not just in the first impeachment, but also relating to the insurrection, which led to impeachment number 2. And because Adam Schiff is, you know, the best in the business at those cross exams, this is the level of what and who the modern day MAGA Republican Party is. It's sad to see it, but that's where we're at. I'll show you what happened when the vote was called. We don't need to play the whole clip, Bret, because the Democrats for about a 2-minute period are yelling shame, shame, shame. But we'll give you a little taste of what happened as soon as the vote was announced censuring Adam Schiff. Play the clip.
On this vote, the ayes are 213 and the nays are 209. With 6 answering present, the resolution adopted. Without objection, the motion to consider is laid on the table. House will be in order. I'll wait.
During the censure, Congressmember Adam Schiff had to present himself to the House to get the finger wagged at him, which is essentially what the censure is. Democrats gave him a standing ovation. Lauren Boebert called the standing ovation given by the Democrats an insurrection. She thought it wise to post that, calling that an insurrection.
And by the way, this was a talking point today that I saw with a lot of these Republicans and Republican influencer kind of people on social media saying, when are they going to arrest all the Democrats for their insurrection on the House floor? Like, such absolute unserious people who are saying seriously very dangerous things, though. Like, I want to be clear about that. Like, you want to lock up your political opponents. Everything that they say is such complete and utter projection. And that's why they do it, Ben, though, because of the questions that you received. It's because they want even the air of impropriety. They want even the appearance that, oh, well, he must have done something, right, to get a censure. He must have done something, right? Must have been a little something. No, legitimately, no. He did his job. He did his job. He did his patriotic duty and investigated threats to the United States of America. And for the people actually watching those clips of Kevin McCarthy, you'll notice Kevin McCarthy did not really look up much because he knows exactly what he did. He is ashamed of himself deep down because McCarthy knows that he has sold his soul. And you see it. You see him looking down at the floor, refusing to look Schiff in the eye, refusing to look the Democrats in the eye. It is a complete and utter disgrace. Disgrace.
Bret, you're right. You hear it when he speaks too. You see it and you hear it every time he speaks. It sounds like his soul's leaving his body.
Couldn't agree more with you. And look, these insurrectionist talking points are exactly the type of statements that John McCain, when he was alive, and for example, when he was running in 2008 for president, he would take the mic away from people who said that. Yeah, because we lived in a time back then that despite some craziness, there was a level of normalcy. Now, the MAGA Republicans give them the microphone, give them the platform. It is a complete reversal, and we shouldn't act like this is just some normal thing and this is just politics. Oh, I don't like politics because people on the right and the left are all crazy. Sorry, that's just not what exists right now. I don't always agree, rather, with all of the statements that are being made by the by Democrats. I don't always agree with President Biden, but they ain't supporting insurrectionists. They ain't recording soundtracks with the January 6th insurrectionists. They're not spreading lies about COVID. They're not supporting this weirdo cult. So no, do not give me everyone's just a bunch. It's all crazy. Not what's going on right now. Not what's going on right now at all. I want to show you what went down before that vote was taken. First, we'll show you former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. And this is Congressmember Nancy Pelosi slamming the Republicans before that vote that we just talked about. Play this clip.
Today, we are on the floor of the House where the other side has turned this chamber, where slavery was abolished, where Medicare and Social Security and everything were instituted, they've turned it into a puppet show. And you know what? The puppeteer, Donald Trump, is shining a light on the strings. You look miserable. The only advantage to all of this is that instead of reversing what we did on the IRA to save the planet, or reversing what we did to reduce the cost of prescription drugs, you're wasting time. Adam Schiff is one of the greatest members of that.
I like her saying, "You look miserable. Right. You look miserable," and they're co-opted by Donald Trump. They are miserable, but this is who they are. They are a miserable group of people. This is Democratic Congressmember Jim McGovern. Just saying it like it is. Play this clip.
Republicans care more about personal vendettas and sucking up to Trump than about doing what's right for the country. Adam Schiff has been an incredible member of Congress. He exposed Trump's lies and corruption, impeached him, and got a bipartisan conviction vote in the Senate. He's passed real and consequential laws that solve real problems and help real people. And what's the sponsor of this censure done? What's Congressman Luna's record? I want her constituents to know in her congressional career, 5 out of the 6 legislative items she's ever introduced are about Adam Schiff. I mean, doesn't she have anything better to do? Like, I don't know, help her district? This is what's known as lunacy. And it's all about deflection, retaliation, and distraction from Trump's 37 felony charges. The people who came up with the big lie want to censure Adam Schiff for telling the obvious truth, all so they can defend a 3-time loser ex-president who's been indicted more times than he's been elected. What an embarrassing day for this institution. What an insult to the American people. I urge a no vote, and I stand proudly with Congressman Schiff.
It's true. What an embarrassing day. And is this Anna Paulina Luna, as he says, lunacy? Is she doing anything for our district? She's obsessed with Adam Schiff. It is freaking weirdo fascist behavior. And this is for everybody saying, okay, well, what are the Republicans talking about? What are they saying this censure vote is about? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's one of the big proponents of this, just listen in her own words. So when you say, Ben, it can't possibly be because Adam Schiff was investigating Donald Trump and conduct relating to the January 6th insurrection. The insurrection is a bad thing, right? No political party could go, insurrection, let's freaking sing with them. Let's make some show tunes with them. That can't possibly happen, right? Well, let me show you. So what Marjorie Taylor Greene said in her speech. Play the clip.
He did this to peddle more lies to the American people and perpetuate the fake narrative that January 6th was an insurrection, and it was not. And now Adam Schiff is running for Senate.
Gentlewoman yields to...
Thank you.
How much time?
1 minute.
1 more minute.
1 more minute. Gentlewoman's recognized.
Thank you. And now Adam Schiff is running for Senate in California. Now, California has a lot of things messed up, and California is not the model that the United States needs. As a matter of fact, their government policies are atrocious. So if California decides to send Adam Schiff to Senate, they will be sending a proven liar, and that's what he's aiming to do. Raise money off of being a liar.
Notice that they gave her more time. They gave her, like, as she's going in and she's talking about a fake narrative about the January 6th insurrection, her time expired. But they were like, the Republicans make the decision because they control the time on the House floor. They're like, give her more time. Let's keep this going. This
is good stuff.
This is good.
By the way, this is why
this is good stuff. That's what they're saying, Jordy.
This is why I say all the time, let them speak. Because what Marjorie Taylor Greene, what I truly believe in my heart of hearts, and I think we've saw that play out over the last midterm cycle at least, is that what she's saying, that messaging right there, doesn't resonate with the American people at large. It just straight up doesn't. I'm happy when she speaks because she continues to make a complete and total clown out of herself every single time. So when she's doing that, I know the pro-democracy coalition out there is looking at this and saying, I don't want to vote for that. And by the way, could you imagine any Democrat saying what she says, but about a Republican state? If someone was like, we don't want those Alabama, I mean, you guys know what I'm trying to say here. It is just absolutely absurd.
I think what you just said, Alabama, terrible state. Is that those Jordy's words? Awful shithole. No, I'm just kidding, Jordy. I'm not putting words in your.
Could you imagine?
Jordy, she's so detached from reality, and it is so like if I were a supporter, I mean, I want to throw up even thinking about that. But if I were a supporter of somebody like this, like, wouldn't you at a certain point be offended, like, of being just so blatantly lied to, like saying January 6th, the lie that it was an insurrection, the lie that something bad happened that day, and then the projection machine goes in, and now he just wants to go and he wants to make a scene and he wants to raise money off his lies. That's what you're doing. That's exactly what you are doing. And the fact that this entire party is based on denying fundamental reality. And then to your point, Jordy, shitting on half the country and saying that half the country sucks. It is absolutely anti-American from top to bottom. And these are the people who they say more time. We need more of that. We need more lies about January 6th. That's exactly what this body needs. And by the way, look up the story of Anna Paulina Luna, the congressperson who put forward this bill. She is like George Santos. I'm not exaggerating. She's lied about her entire history, her heritage, her religion. She's lied about everything also. Her entire resume, fake. And that's the person who is leading this. I love that. Who was it before? Who called her a lunatic? That was a nice, a subtle dig by McGovern.
That's why, though, you can't call these modern Republicans conservative. Okay, there's nothing conservative about those views. Okay, you're supporting insurrectionists. You're denying the existence that COVID is a fundamentally dangerous thing. Like what you're running to the aid of Vladimir Putin over Ukraine. What like what are we talking about like here? And you have to just call it out. That's not normal behavior in a democracy, because these people are not supportive of a democracy. Speaking of which, this is Lauren Boebert. We'll get into what took place between
Trouble
Boebert
in Paradise,
and Greene, but this is what Lauren Boebert said. Play this clip.
With good and decent intentions to vote for this resolution. If Adam Schiff has a shred of human decency left, he would resign from Congress in disgrace.
Okay, she can't even read also. Like,
can't even read the words. With good and decent intentions. I say that it's like
she legitimately, right?
Here's Democratic cleanse Democratic Congress member Jamie Raskin. Cleanse.
Driving out anyone who dares to think for himself or herself. But don't take my word for it. Just read Friday's statement by the twice impeached inciter of insurrection, sexual abuser, defamer of women, and indicted pilferer of national security secrets, war plans, and top secret classified documents himself. On Friday, Trump posted this order to his followers and this unveiled threat to anyone who would dare to defy his control over the GOP. Quote, any Republican voting against Adam Schiff's censure or worse should immediately be primaried, he wrote. The Luna resolution is a weapon of mass distraction from Trump's indictment by a Florida grand jury on 37 federal charges relating to obstruction and unlawful retention of defense information for storing dozens of classified secret and top secret documents at his Florida resort, in his bathroom, his bedroom, and beyond, and then refusing repeatedly for more than a year to return any of these official documents to the archives and the FBI. It's amazing to me that they have to change the subject from one of Donald Trump's current offenses against America to one of his older offenses, welcoming Russian interference in the 2016 presidential campaign.
If you watch that video of Jamie Raskin and Jim McGovern and Pelosi, and you compare them to Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's not immediately clear to you which side is the smarter, more intelligent side that's better for the country, you need a lot of help there. And I think it's important to mention also that last week this exact same vote came up, and it was rejected. Those 6 Republicans who voted present, I believe, were a part of a group of people who actually voted across party lines with Democrats, and the vote to censure was rejected. The noes beat the ayes there, and so there was no censure. Then Donald Trump posted on his social media platform exactly what Jamie Raskin just said and scared the people. He wrote a mean tweet, a mean post on his social media, and then they flipped, and then they changed their vote, and then the vote passed. Just think about that. They're doing the bidding of this freaking maniac. It is beyond bizarre.
Because they're scared of a mean post.
Oh my God, I'm mean post. eating his own poop, basically.
And also in the last one, also just so people have the full complete context, they wanted to fine Adam Schiff, which is like the most illegal, unconstitutional thing ever. They not only wanted to censure him, which is kind of just like bad Adam Schiff, they wanted to fine him $16 million. Like they just made up. Why not just make it? Just call it $1 zillion. Like I think Adam Schiff even said, just call it 160 million. Like you're just making up numbers. like it's absolute lunacy. It's completely unconstitutional. And you're right. Compare and contrast. Like Jamie Raskin, to me, regardless of if you even agree with a single policy of Jamie Raskin, I think you should be able to look at that person and say, this is somebody who cares about the country. This is a fighter. This is a patriot. This is somebody who cares about the truth. And when you look at the other people, you just can't say that. Like there used to be a time when there were folks in the Republican Party where you could look at and say, I disagree with all their policies, but I think their heart's in the right place. And I could see that they care about the country and just want to do what's best. It doesn't exist anymore.
And Jamie Raskin, Harvard Law, wrote for Harvard Law Review, constitutional scholar, Maryland legislature, Congress, like so qualified. And then you've got Anna Paulina Luna, who that's probably not even her name. George Santos, that's like not even his name. You got George Santos voting to censure Adam Schiff. You've got George Santos not being censured and saying that Adam Schiff is unethical. By the way, we learned the names of those suretors that they were revealed today. George Santos said he'd rather go to prison than reveal the names. It was his aunt, Elma Santos Previn, and Jarcino dos Santos, his father. And I didn't even know. I'm like, his father's alive. Was he in 9/11? Like, what happened with his dad? I genuinely, I forgot the story with his dad.
Well, it's hard to keep up because he keeps changing his story.
He literally lies about everything. I genuinely was like, oh, his father's still alive.
I don't want to dwell on the Santos shirters too much. It's not super exciting to me. But here are my kind of quick questions that I was wondering. So a lot of people are bringing up the fact that it was a $500,000 bond, and they're saying, well, how do these family members of George Santos, I believe one was a painter and one was a mail carrier, how do they have $500,000 to post this bond? To me, that's not the part of the story that gets me fully, because you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when the bond's $500,000, you have to put up something like 10% of the bond, right? Like, so it's more like $50K, and you could assume that somebody who's worked their entire lives could have $50K to put forward this just as collateral, right? You could even do assets.
Make property as collateral. You could work out a deal.
So you could assume they have $50,000 in assets that you could put as collateral. So that part to me wasn't the part that stuck out. I know a lot of people are kind of screaming conspiracy at that part. The thing that to me I'm confused about is, for so long we heard that there were 3 people, and then we got the names of 2 people here. So my red flags, my kind of spidey sense immediately went off as to what happened to the third person. Am I just making that up? I know they said there were 3 people. So what happened to the third person? Did the third person back out before it needed to be made public and the other 2 took their place? And were the father and the aunt, were they the suretors the entire time, or did they swoop in at the end to protect the identities of somebody else who actually put up the bond initially?
Well, I didn't see, look, the bottom line is I don't believe that's the case. Because we have the docket. So there is no change in circumstances or conditions.
How does it go from 3 to 2? I don't know.
If that would have happened, there would have to be an under seal filing. So either the 3 to 2 was being misreported out there and just, or someone misspoke, or they were considering George Santos one of the 3. I don't clearly know, but if there was a change in circumstance, we would have seen it on the docket. And the last docket item was the June 20th order from Judge Boebert, the federal judge from the Eastern District of New York, ordering that the documents be unsealed unless George Santos wanted to turn himself into custody like he said he was going to in the letter that was submitted, and he did not do that. Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene called Lauren Boebert a little bitch and admits that that's what she said. I'm not saying that's what she said. That's what she said. Brett's showing you there was a video of something going down on the House floor between them. You could play it one more time, video without any of the sound. And then apparently it got heated, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's like, I've donated to you, I've defended to you, but you've been nothing but a little bitch to me, Greene told Boebert, according to a source who witnessed it. But what Marjorie Taylor Greene was really upset about was that Lauren Boebert jumped the gun on their impeachment plan for President Biden, and that Boebert introduced the articles of impeachment first. And Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted it to be her glory. She wanted it to be her articles of impeachment. So Marjorie Taylor Greene was upset that Lauren Boebert was trying to take credit for introducing the articles of impeachment against President Biden. And based on the procedural maneuver that Lauren Boebert did, Lauren Boebert's bill would have to be, a resolution would have to be voted on first.
I got a Santos answer. Sorry to interrupt. One of the shirters dropped out.
Originally?
Yeah, in his motion, Mr. Murray again said that one of Mr. Santos's initial 3 shirters had already dropped out amid the intense media interest. So I guess
so that makes sense. There's only 2.
Yeah. Okay. So
Definitely.
that at least puts things into focus for me, because that was what was kind of bothering me. Sorry. Back to
we could talk about the impeachment though. I mean that's the reason for the fight.
Yeah.
Was over which one of these idiots filed the articles of impeachment.
And let's
first.
remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene filed hers, I think, literally day 1 of the Biden presidency, just to show you how bad faith all of this is. The second that Joe Biden was inaugurated, she filed articles of impeachment. And then Lauren Boebert comes in with her own articles of impeachment. And like, I don't know, middle school
uses
kids
one of these
bickering with one
procedural
another.
maneuvers to force the vote first.
Yeah. And she now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is basically like, she copied me. It was supposed to be my impeachment. I said that you could co-sponsor my bill, and then you went and made your own bill. Like this was the argument.
Really
That's actually what happened. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene called her a little bitch.
They don't even really know what they're impeaching President Biden over. The false accusations that they're impeaching him over. Like
the thing that Lauren Boebert is saying.
And by the way, I think that they do. Like, I truly believe that as part of one of the things for Kevin McCarthy to stay in power, they're going to impeach President Biden. I think it's going to totally backfire as well. But before the election, I have almost no doubt that that's what they're going to do. I don't want to give that any more air or podcast or YouTube time. So let's talk about Special Counsel Jack Smith. Justice time. So following the protective order being entered in the criminal case in the Southern District of Florida, which limits Donald Trump's ability to look at these documents being produced out of the presence of his lawyers. He can't post about it or talk about it, subject to being, seriously held in contempt, or he could face serious criminal penalties for it. But after the protective order was entered, Jack Smith just made a filing this week that basically detailed that the first batch of evidence, referred to in these cases as discovery, has been turned over to Trump's attorney, and that he was over-inclusive. Not only did he produce the documents that were required by law, the bare minimum, he basically produced everything super, super early, and then produced extra records that he may not even be required to turn over by law. Just all of the documents. Here you go. So we're talking about all of the grand jury testimony, all of the witnesses that they spoke to outside of the grand jury with all of those notes. So by now, Donald Trump knows every single person who's going to be testifying against him, all of the interviews that were taken by the Department of Justice, all of the photographs and videos. Not only that, but Special Counsel Jack Smith's team, because they knew that Donald Trump's team would say, oh, we just got hundreds of hours of videos and we can't look through it. Special Counsel Jack Smith's team basically itemized minute by minute what goes down in the videos, so that Donald Trump's team, they did the work for Donald Trump's.
Really detailed. He really
did the
Jack
work
Smith
for Donald Trump's.
Really prepared.
Did the work for Donald Trump's legal team, and then made a separate video of all of the main points that the government will rely on at trial. Is that we've done the work for you. Here's everything that happens on the videos listed. Also, here are the highlights. We're not going to use anything outside of this for trial. And why is Special Counsel Jack Smith doing all of this? Because he's trying to send the signal that he's ready to go for trial. And the trial date has currently been set for August 14th of 2023. That's the Speedy Trial Act, pursuant to the Speedy Trial Act. So I think we all think that date is going to move. Donald Trump's going to request continuances, but what Special Counsel Jack Smith is anticipating here's the legal chess maneuvers being made as Donald Trump is playing checkers. Special Counsel Jack Smith's going to say, we're ready. We turned over everything. We itemized the videos. We made highlight clips for Donald Trump. There is no reason why discovery in this matter should slow anything down. Obviously, Trump's going to request a continuance to file motions, but the big thing to look for is the motion calendar, because what Special Counsel Jack Smith's going to argue in the next thing is, okay, we get it. Donald Trump has the right to file motions. That's going to push things back, but how long are these motions going to take? 90 days? 120 days? Even if Donald Trump files all the motions in the world, this shouldn't take longer than February or March of 2024 is I think what they're going to try to push for a trial date. So look for that. It doesn't say all of that in this motion, or rather in this filing, but this filing has all of the information, which to me, based on what I know about these types of cases, it implies that's the next maneuver by Special Counsel Jack Smith.
And Ben, one of the other things I've noticed in this filing, and also in a filing made recently by the Manhattan DA's office, is all of these prosecutors throughout the country are using Donald Trump's public statements. And it's something that we've been telling everybody to pay attention to for so long, that the things that Donald Trump writes on his social media platform, the thing that Donald Trump says in these deranged videos, and that's why, by the way, that's why we show you these statements. They are now ending up in all of these filings as evidence. So I think we all kind of saw the clips from, a couple weeks ago when Donald Trump was at the Miami courthouse, and we saw in the indictment the statements that Donald Trump made back in 2016 about Hillary Clinton's handling of classified information that Jack Smith so smartly included in the indictment himself. Well, in this filing, Jack Smith is noting that he has even more of Donald Trump's public statements, remarks, and posts that he is intending on using for evidence in these cases. He is also saying that, hey, in addition, and I think if you read between the lines, you see this, in addition to that recorded conversation we have that took place in Bedminster with that, a book publisher with Mark Meadows, who's writer of Mark Meadows' book, that you revealed all this confidential information to, and you had these documents that you weren't supposed to have, and you were bragging about having these top secret documents about our Iranian attack plan. Well, guess what? We have even more recordings of you. Yes, there are more tapes than just that. And not only that, you consented to the recordings just like you did then. You agreed to be recorded. And we have even more recordings that you agreed to that incriminate you. That is also listed in this filing. So as Jack Smith is ready to go, Trump is getting more desperate. Episode title. So what we need to figure out here is we should all be monitoring, though, you don't have to, we'll do it for you. But Donald Trump's statements that he makes now, I think on his social media platform, are going to be incredibly revealing into his consciousness of guilt and into his thoughts on all this. So remember, Donald Trump is not allowed to discuss this evidence. He's not allowed to say anything about this stuff. So I think it's also maybe a little bit of bait by Jack Smith to give him all this and then see Donald Trump's move, and if he violates the protective order. But you already see Donald Trump reacting to it in a bit more ambiguous way, at least for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is now rushing the same way he did for the Manhattan DA's investigation. He's going, Congress, please help me. please save me from prosecution. I need your help. Why won't you step up and get that mean Jack Smith off me? And I wish I were even exaggerating like a little bit, but like we'll show you the post that Donald Trump made kind of immediately after news broke that Jack Smith made this filing and turned over the evidence. Here's a Donald Trump post on his social media platform. This is all caps. Congress, please investigate. It's exactly what my impression is. Congress, please investigate the political witch hunts against me currently being brought by the corrupt DOJ and FBI who are totally out of control. This continuing saga is retribution against me for winning, and even more importantly to them, election interference regarding the 2024 presidential election. It will be their, he can't even spell. It will be their updated form of rigging our most important election. Look at the polls. They can't beat me. MAGA at the ballot box. The only way they can win is to cheat. Stop them now. And that was one of two messages. He then fired off a second message to Congress. Congress, please save me. Here's message number 2. Congress will hopefully now look at the ever-continuing witch hunts and election interference, that's my all caps voice, by the way, against me on perfectly legal boxes where I have no doubt that information is being secretly planted by the scoundrels in charge. The perfect phone calls, Atlanta. The illegal, this is my favorite part of these Trump posts when he lists all of his crimes in a nice, easy to digest way. The perfect phone calls, Atlanta, an indictment coming. The illegal DOJ Pomerantz Manhattan DA hoax, already indicted, probably more charges coming. Where virtually everyone agrees there is no case. You've literally been indicted already, and you're going to be indicted again multiple times. The New York State AG scam, you're indicted, where I have proven beyond a doubt that there is no case, but have a hostile judge who should not be on this case. A lot to digest.
Although, to be fair, the New York State Attorney General case, he was sued, not indicted, for at least $250 million. And where New York Attorney General Letitia James is seeking injunctive relief to shut down the Trump organization. Donald
now
Trump.
He planted it, Ben. I thought on Bret Baier, he was saying he took it and that there was his stuff in it. Like a lot of and by the way, the Bret Baier stuff will probably be
all evidence. I have no doubt that the Bret Baier stuff was even in the discovery that was turned over. You know, and the thing about that July 2021 encounter with those two people who were ghostwriting the book for Mark Meadows, those were just random dudes. Like you got to think about it like this.
Such a good point.
Donald Trump would take these boxes with him on like vacations and trips, the same way we would take maybe sunscreen and like the latest New York Times bestseller. He'd bring this with them. And when these two random dudes who he had never met before entered within 60 seconds of meeting, strangers, he goes, hey, everybody, do you want to see these classified records? Do you want to look at them? These are very, very damaging, huh? Do you want to see this? Because look, these are war plans. These are classified. I never declassified this. This is classified information I'm going to show you. Does this make me the winner? Don't you think this makes me better than Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley? Aren't I better than him? Here, look, these are classified. Oh, yeah. I can't declassify them anymore. I never declassified them when I was in office. He says that on the audio recording. So just think about it. If he's taking these boxes with him on vacations and on his trips, my boxes need to go with me, my boxes. And he's taking them around like a freaking lunatic. And within 60 seconds of showing strangers, that one just happened to be on a recording. Could you imagine who else he's showing our military documents to and our nuclear codes to? And as the MAGA Republicans look at that and they're like, you know what we need to do? Let's give them the nuclear codes again. The fact that they don't have the spine to, at a very bare minimum, stand up to that, it goes to all of the other points we talked about. They look at the January 6th insurrection. Their response to it, the normal response to it, would be insurrection, bad. MAGA Republicans look at the insurrection and go, I wonder if I could record a musical with the insurrectionists. What? Most normal people look at COVID and a pandemic as saying dangerous. We need to come together. Let's do something about it. MAGA Republicans look at a COVID pandemic and they're like, let's spread hate. Like, let's just lie about this thing. Let's just pretend like a miracle it's all going to go away. And let's say the real issue here is that schools are trying to prevent our children from smiling with masks. What? That's your reaction to it? Most normal people will look at the theft of our freaking nuclear codes and classified information and war plans by someone who's not in the government anymore and go bad conduct. MAGA Republicans look at that and they go, that's our guy. That's our guy. And that's our show. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Bret and Jordy. Everybody, please make sure that you're subscribed on our YouTube channel. YouTube viewers, please make sure that you're subscribed wherever audio podcasts are available. Please, this goes a long way to help. It takes such a short time to do it. YouTube watchers, whatever podcast device you use, search MeidasTouch Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Literally 2 to 3 minutes max that will take, and it goes a long way to help our show. You can also check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We're cutting that new exclusive Patreon podcast, Patreon, patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Different than Patreon, but for our YouTube viewers, if you want to use all these great emojis and get the MeidasTouch badge and unlock other great features on YouTube, make sure you get a YouTube membership. And if you're so inclined, you can buy others' YouTube membership so we could try to get the whole chat of the Meidas Mighty gifted YouTube memberships. I love the Jack Smith emoji. And we're going to eventually be working on brother emojis.
Oh,
brother emojis. Well, once we figure out.
Let me be clear. Are we going to be working on it, Ben?
I've got my pen ready to go. I'm starting to etch it. I'm going to start etching, sketching it. So we've got all of that going. Please support our sponsors. I got Teddy Ruxpy ready to go after this. You don't know Teddy Ruxpy?
Teddy, of course, Teddy Ruxpy.
The original Furby is Teddy Ruxpy.
That one went over my head.
How could we forget?
Store.MeidasTouch.com so Jordy doesn't get mad at me. We really have great gear. We've got great pro-democracy gear. 100%
all union made.
100% made in the USA. 100% union made. Gear up. Make sure you're geared up this summer. Get the no one is above the law gear and so much other stuff at store.MeidasTouch.com. And we got the Convict 45 stuff, person, woman, man, camera, prison stuff, Convict 45 pins, I read banned books sweatshirt, really good stuff there. Well, that's all the show we got. Put some comments, and I almost don't want to go. I have so much fun doing this with the Meidas.
Should we do another 2 hours right now?
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Gotta leave the people wanting more.
As funny as that would be. Anyway, just thank you so much to the Meidas Mighty community. We love you. We're so grateful for this pro-democracy community. We know that when these shows are off, that's when really y'all get to work and you spread the message. You share these videos. You let friends, family, coworkers, colleagues, anybody you know, you let them know about this show. We spread the truth together. We register voters together. We make sure we're supporting our democracy together. And none of this is possible without you. So from me and my 2 younger brothers, thank you so much, Bret.
I've been doing the fact checks throughout this episode, and I've seen the comments explode demanding a fact check. Ben, it's actually Teddy Ruxpin. Teddy Ruxpin.
Wow,
is the name, and I don't want to leave the people hanging with that false information because the truth matters. In all seriousness, thank you everybody for listening to the show. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and thank you for all your support. Jordy, take it away.
Shout out to the Meidas Mighty.
The Meidas Mighty standing strong against the fascists. We sing our song. We will get it right whenever.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.